going on, guys? Anthropredix here. So first to start off, I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. So I want to do a 2020 Democratic primary overall prediction, and I want to get into that. But first, please like and subscribe to my channel, Anthropredix. It'd really help out a lot. My channel, I try to make election prediction videos and talk about elections and certain political issues going on at the time. I'm going to try to start doing more of that in the coming year in 2020. So I'd really like if you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and tap the bell icon so you always get notified whenever I post a new video. So yeah, I'd really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into it. So the 2020 Democratic primary. In the past, I've done head-to-head, one-on-one matchups on the Democratic side and a few on the Republican side. But this time, I decided just to do a overall Democratic primary prediction of the four leading candidates who I think are the four who actually have a chance are Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg. I know there's a lot of other candidates like Amy Klobuchar or Andrew Yang or Tulsi Gabbard or Mike Bloomberg who I think they have a chance to get some delegates, but I really don't see them having much of a chance at winning. These are the four candidates I think actually stand a chance at winning, which is why I want to put them in the headline and not put every candidate because it can't go on forever in terms of the list above. So yeah, let's just get into the first state. So the state of Iowa. Currently, out of the state of Iowa, I wrote down the polls here. Pete Buttigieg is leading in the national average in Iowa, and right now I think Pete Buttigieg would win. I don't know if these margins are exactly correct, but for the math to show that you actually win the state, you have to have a majority of the vote. So I think Buttigieg would win in Iowa. I think behind him narrowly, I think would probably be Bernie Sanders in second. I think Bernie Sanders would finish in second. I think Joe Biden would be right behind Bernie Sanders, and I think Elizabeth Warren would be slightly behind Joe Biden. Okay, so Pete Buttigieg won the state of Iowa. Now on to the state of New Hampshire. Currently, I believe Bernie Sanders is leading in the polls in New Hampshire, and I think it would stay that way. I think New Hampshire is going to go to Bernie. I think in second place, I think would probably go Pete Buttigieg. I think narrowly, I think Buttigieg would get more support than Joe Biden would. I think Elizabeth Warren would finish probably in third, and Joe Biden would not have that good of a performance in New Hampshire. So Bernie Sanders would win up in New Hampshire. Then we'd go down to Nevada. Nevada, I think this is where Joe Biden really starts to win. I think Joe Biden would win in the state of Nevada. I think he'd win close here. I think Bernie Sanders would definitely come in second. Elizabeth Warren would come in third. I think Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. I think that's how Nevada would go. And then South Carolina, I think this is going to reassure a lot of Biden supporters that Biden can actually win. Biden will win in South Carolina. I think he'll win here. I think he'll get about 29 delegates is good. Bernie Sanders, I think, would come in second, as we've seen before. Elizabeth Warren would probably come in third. And then Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. Right now, the four earliest states. Right now, we have Joe Biden leading with 57 delegates. Bernie Sanders is 44. Elizabeth Warren is 22. And Pete Buttigieg is 32. It's interesting this time around because the Democrats changed it. There aren't many winner-take-all states or any, I believe now. It's just proportional delegates for the primary, which makes it a lot more interesting, leaving possibilities for a contested convention at the end of this, possibly. So now on to the state of Alabama. Joe Biden's going to be very popular in the Deep South. None of the other candidates really poll as well in the Deep South as Joe Biden does. I expect Bernie Sanders will get about 15. Elizabeth Warren will probably get about 9-ish. Actually, Bernie will do a little better. And then Pete Buttigieg will probably get the same as Warren. So Alabama, I think, will go for Joe Biden. I think the state of California. California, I have no problem saying this. In my earlier prediction of 1v1 Biden versus Sanders, I think it would be a lot closer and possibly Biden could win it. In a contested primary like this, I think Bernie Sanders would definitely win in California. I think Bernie Sanders would win there. I think Biden would come in second. Elizabeth Warren, I think, would probably come in third. And then I think Pete Buttigieg would probably come in fourth. So that's how I think California would go. The state of Oregon, I believe Oregon is currently in the lead by Bernie Sanders in terms of polling. And I expect it would go that way as well. I think Bernie Sanders will win the state of Oregon. Part of this is the polls, and part of it is also me, what I think is going to happen. And I see Bernie Sanders winning in the state of Oregon. And then I see Elizabeth Warren coming in third again. and then I see Pete Buttigieg coming in fourth. Hold on, there we go. So the state of Washington, I think Washington has the same amount of progressives that Oregon does, and I think Washington would go for Bernie Sanders. I think he would win in Washington. I think Joe Biden would come in second again. Elizabeth Warren would come in third, and then Pete Buttigieg would probably come in fourth. Just fixing the numbers. There you go. Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. Now, out of the state of Idaho, Idaho is interesting because there will be some progressive vote from Washington and Oregon, but I think Idaho will go for Joe Biden. And I think he'll go to Bernie Sanders in second. I think it'll go for Elizabeth Warren in third and Pete Buttigieg in fourth. Actually, no, I think Pete Buttigieg will actually be in third and Elizabeth Warren will be in fourth. So yeah, Joe Biden will win the state of Idaho. Montana, they typically like the more moderate more moderate Democrats, like Steve Bullock. So I think Montana, it could be potentially in play from Pete Buttigieg, but I think Joe Biden would still win the state of Montana. I think Biden would win there. Sanders would come in second. And yeah, I think Sanders would come in second, 25%. Warren would come in third. Actually, no, again, I think Pete Buttigieg would come in third. Warren would come in second, or in fourth, excuse me. The state of Wyoming, I expect Joe Biden will win the state of Wyoming. He'll win there. Bernie Sanders will come in second again. Elizabeth Warren, I think Elizabeth Warren will come in third in this one. Actually, her and Buttigieg will be tied for third in this one. So yeah, Joe Biden's starting to rack up some wins here, but currently Bernie Sanders is still in the lead. California is such a big prize. It really helps out Pete Buttigieg a lot. Right. Now out of the state of Utah, I think Utah will go for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden will win the state of Utah. I think Bernie Sanders will then come in second. No doubt in my mind there. I think Elizabeth Warren will come in third. And I think Pete Buttigieg won't do too well here, actually. I think he'll come in fourth. I think the Mormon population, a lot of strict Mormons living in the state of Utah, a lot of them, not to play identity politics, but a lot of them don't see too favorably of Pete Buttigieg being gay, one of the first gay candidates to run. And I think that's actually going to hurt him in the state of Utah. And yeah, it's take with that what you will, but that's just kind of how I see it happening. All right, now out of the state of Arizona, I think Joe Biden and Obama kind of messed up the immigration system a lot. I think Bernie Sanders will capitalize on that. Of course, it's up to opinion whether or not you think of Biden and Obama, but I think Bernie Sanders will win the state of Arizona. I think Joe Biden will come in second. I think Elizabeth Warren in this case will come in third. And I think that Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. I don't know if it's that big of a margin, though. Yeah, it's more like that. That's better. Yeah, Bernie Sanders will win the state of Arizona. The state of New Mexico, I think pretty similar. I think Bernie Sanders would win New Mexico. Bernie Sanders would come in second. Elizabeth Warren would come in third. And then Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. The state of Colorado, same thing pretty much. A big booming Hispanic population. Bernie Sanders appeals to Hispanics more than Joe Biden does. So Bernie Sanders will win the state of Colorado. Joe Biden will come in second. Elizabeth Warren, I think, will come in third. And I think Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. Now we're just going to go out west a little bit and up north just to get these states out of the way. The states of Alaska, I think Alaska will probably go for Joe Biden. They tend to like the more moderate. Bernie Sanders will come in second. Elizabeth Warren will come in third. And Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. The state of Hawaii, I expect Bernie Sanders. Tulsi Gabbard's home state, I expect Bernie Sanders to win here. She'll probably, if she doesn't win, she'll probably support Bernie Sanders and win up in Hawaii. Joe Biden, I think, will probably come. Actually, I think Elizabeth Warren would come in second in this case. There's a lot of progressives in Hawaii. I think Joe Biden would come in third, and then I think Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. Out west and all the American islands and stuff, I think Joe Biden would probably win most of these. Bernie Sanders, I think, would get the rest of the delegates. I think I think all these pretty much the same. Not many of these people probably who live in here have really heard of a lot of the Democratic candidates. So I think Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, the two with the most name recognition, will probably get the most amount of votes here. So I'm just going to kind of stick with that prediction for now. The state of Puerto Rico, I think, is the only one that, or not, excuse me, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, excuse me, or the island of Puerto Rico. I'm just going to call it the island of Puerto Rico. I think that's probably the chance to be the most contested of them all. I think Biden would still win here probably, but I think Bernie Sanders would get more of a percent. I think Elizabeth Warren would probably get more of a percent as well. and then Pete Buttigieg will also get some percent in Puerto Rico. So right now in the race, Bernie Sanders is leading at 494 delegates. Joe Biden is 370 in second place. Elizabeth Warren is 156, and Pete Buttigieg is 109, with his sole win being in Iowa right now. So now North Dakota, I think North Dakota would probably go to Joe Biden. At this point, I think Joe Biden would win there. Bernie Sanders come in second. Elizabeth Warren would come in third. Pete Buttigieg in fourth. South Dakota, I think, would do relatively similar, as goes North Dakota, so goes South Dakota. Bernie Sanders in second. Elizabeth Warren in third. Pete Buttigieg in fourth. The state of Nebraska, Nebraska is interesting. I haven't called this before. I think Pete Buttigieg could actually win Nebraska. I really think he could. I think Nebraska, I think would go for Pete Buttigieg. I think Joe Biden would actually come in second. Excuse me. I think Bernie would probably come in third, and then Elizabeth Warren wouldn't perform too well, but she'd come in fourth. The state of Kansas, I think Kansas, it would be close. I think Joe Biden would probably win the state of Kansas. Pete Buttigieg, I think, would come in distant third. Bernie Sanders would come in second, and I think Elizabeth Warren would come in fourth. The state of Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma would probably go for Joe Biden. I think based off the polling we've seen so far, he has a very good presence in the South. I think Bernie Sanders would probably come in second or third, probably second. Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, I think Buttigieg would actually perform better out here. And it would be close, but I think Warren would come in fourth in this one. The state of Texas, Texas would be interesting. I think a lot of the Beto O'Rourke supporters would probably vote for Bernie Sanders. However, I think Joe Biden would probably narrowly win this one. I think he'd be able to win the state of Texas. Bernie Sanders would definitely make it close, though. And coming in second place, I think Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg. I think probably Buttigieg or Warren. This is tough. I think Buttigieg will come in third. Warren will come in fourth. I think Elizabeth Warren just doesn't really have much appeal outside of the Northeast. That's kind of her main center of appeal. And I think she won't really do too well in the Deep South here. The state of Louisiana, I'm pretty confident in this one. I think Joe Biden will win here. John Paul Edwards winning shows like it takes a moderate to win in the South, and that's what happens. Bernie Sanders will come in second. I think Pete Buttigieg, I think, will come in third. And I think Elizabeth Warren will come in fourth. State of Mississippi, I think Joe Biden would win in Mississippi. Bernie Sanders come in second. I think Elizabeth Warren would come in third in this one, though. And I think Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. The state of Georgia, we're going to come back to after in a sec. The state of Arkansas, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's former home state. I think Joe Biden will win. Bernie Sanders will come in second. Elizabeth Warren, I think Elizabeth Warren will probably finish in fourth again. And then Pete Buttigieg will finish in third here. And the state of Missouri, Missouri could potentially. Here's the thing about Missouri. They have a lot of white rural voters who would be tempted to vote for Pete Buttigieg. But the cities of St. Louis and Kansas City are a lot of African Americans, and as we know, the African American voters don't really like Pete Buttigieg too much. So I think Biden will still win Missouri, but I could definitely see it getting closer, with Pete Buttigieg maybe finishing on a close third, but Bernie Sanders still finishing in second, maybe something like that, where Pete Buttigieg gets narrowly under 20%. Biden gets that, and then maybe Warren gets like 1 or 2%, kind of playing spoiler. Yeah, I think the state of Tennessee will probably go for Joe Biden. I think Bernie Sanders will finish in second, Pete Buttigieg in third, and I think Elizabeth Warren will get the rest there. The state of North Carolina, I think North Carolina will go for Joe Biden. I think a lot of the African American voters will vote for him over Bernie Sanders, but I think Bernie Sanders will definitely make this close. I think Elizabeth Warren would come in third in this state. Again, Pete Buttigieg not having too much appeal with African American voters here. I think we'll do the state of Georgia first. The state of Georgia, heavy African American population, will definitely help out Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, hurt Pete Buttigieg. I think Biden will narrowly win here. Bernie Sanders will come in second. I think they'll actually take a big percentage of the vote. Elizabeth Warren, I think, will win pretty much the rest of the vote. Pete Buttigieg won't win too much here. The state of Florida. Florida is an interesting one. I've gone back and forth on Florida a few times. And I think Andrew Gillum, I know I'm kind of being a bit of a hypocrite here because I'm always the biggest proponent that midterms don't determine the next presidential election. But I think Democrats showing they can get progressive turnout, I think might actually be dangerous. I think Bernie Sanders could win Florida, honestly. I think Bernie Sanders could win in Florida. Biden, I think, would be a close second. I think Elizabeth Warren would come in third, and I think Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. But yeah, I could see Bernie Sanders winning the state of Florida, and right now, I really could. The state of Virginia, I think Virginia will go for Joe Biden. I think the more moderate establishment Democrats say they're going. I think Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg will actually make it close. I think for second place. I think he'll come very close to getting second place, and then Elizabeth Warren will come in third. But Joe Biden will win for Kentucky. I think Joe Biden and the Obama administration kind of screwed over a lot of workers when it comes to trying to ban coal and stuff. So I think that'll help out Bernie Sanders a lot. I think Bernie Sanders will win in Kentucky. Biden will still come in second though. I think Buttigieg will do better than Warren here. I think he'll come in third, and I think Warren will come in fourth. The state of West Virginia, I think very similar to Kentucky. Bernie Sanders will win. Joe Biden will come in second. I think Pete Buttigieg or Elizabeth Warren. I think Pete Buttigieg will probably come in third, and then I think Elizabeth Warren will come in fourth. Oh man, the state of Illinois. I think the state of Illinois will go for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden won the state of Illinois. Bernie Sanders will come in second. Yeah, that's about right. I think Pete Buttigieg will come in third, and I think Elizabeth Warren will come in fourth. The state of Indiana, Pete Buttigieg's home state. I mean, I fully expect Pete Buttigieg will be able to win his home state. I really don't see much of a case against that at this point. I think he'll win there. Biden or Sanders, I think Bernie Sanders will probably come in second here, I'd say. I don't think Joe Biden will be able to win that much support here compared to Pete Buttigieg will. And I think Warren will probably come in fourth place here. He won't get that much support. Of Ohio. Now, this gets interesting. Joe Biden claims he has a lot of Rust Belt support, which he actually really doesn't. Bernie Sanders, the argument he's a socialist is he wouldn't have much Rust Belt support, but he actually kind of does. Pete Buttigieg, you would think he'd be doing better in the Rust Belt, and he is, but with Bernie Sanders in the race, it's kind of interesting. I think Ohio would actually go to Bernie Sanders over Joe Biden here. This might be kind of a surprise here, but Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, polling shows Joe Biden winning right now in the state of Ohio. But you know what? Yeah, I think I have to trust the polls. I think Joe Biden would win. I have no idea about Ohio and the Rust Belt though. Bernie Sanders would definitely make it close, coming in second. Pete Buttigieg, would make it close, coming in third, and Elizabeth Warren, but not too good, coming in fourth. Ohio would probably go for Joe Biden. The state of Minnesota, a lot of the Rust Belt support could go to Bernie Sanders, could go to Pete Buttigieg, could go to Joe Biden as well. The polling's interesting. Minnesota has Elizabeth Warren winning, actually. And it has Joe Biden in second and Bernie Sanders in third. And that would be if I totally trust the polls. But I don't know. I think Bernie Sanders, would win Minnesota. I think he would win Minnesota. Elizabeth Warren, I think, would come in second. Bernie Sanders, I think, would come in third. And then Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. Wait, did I give that to... Oh, no. Yeah, no, I did that right. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren wouldn't win there. She's coming second. That's right. All right. Wisconsin, I think Bernie Sanders would win here. They tend to like the candidate that's more out there. I think Bernie Sanders would win in the state of Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin would go for Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden, I think, would finish in second. Pete Buttigieg would finish in third. And I think Elizabeth Warren would finish in fourth. The state of Michigan. Michigan's interesting because a lot of the polling so far has shown this is going to be much closer than people expected. And it's looking like President Trump can very well win Michigan again. On the Democratic side, I think Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, it's going to be close. The polling right now, Michigan shows Joe Biden beating Bernie Sanders. I have to agree with them. Right for right now, I think Joe Biden will win there. Bernie Sanders would come in second. I think Pete Buttigieg would finish in third, and I think Elizabeth Warren would finish in fourth. The state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is going to get interesting. I'll be honest. Joe Biden should win Pennsylvania by a pretty big margin. I really can't see this being overly competitive. It's going to be very competitive, but Joe Biden should win the state of Pennsylvania. And I think at the end of the day, he will. Bernie Sanders will finish in second. I think Pete Buttigieg will finish in third. And I think Elizabeth Warren will finish in fourth in the state of Pennsylvania. So this District of Columbia, I think of all these candidates, they're gonna go for Joe Biden the most. I'd bet. Then Bernie Sanders will be in second, and then probably Elizabeth Warren in third. I don't think Pete Buttigieg is gonna get much there. The state of Maryland, I think Maryland will go for Joe Biden. I think Bernie Sanders will finish in second. Elizabeth Warren will finish in third. And I think Pete Buttigieg will probably finish in fourth. The state of Delaware, without a doubt, Joe Biden's home state. He's going to win big here. Bernie Sanders will finish in second. And I think Elizabeth Warren will finish third. And Pete Buttigieg will finish fourth. The state of New Jersey. New Jersey, polls are showing Joe Biden will do very well up here. So I agree. I think Joe Biden will win the state of New Jersey. It says Elizabeth Warren would come in second over Bernie Sanders. Very, very close, though. I would have to agree right now. I think Elizabeth Warren will come in second narrowly. I think Bernie Sanders will come in third. And I think Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. The state of Connecticut, I think Joe Biden will probably win the state of Connecticut, though Elizabeth Warren definitely has some support up here. There's a case being made she could win Connecticut, but I think Joe Biden will probably win in Connecticut for now. He'll win the state of Connecticut. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, I think Warren will probably edge out Bernie Sanders narrowly in the state. I think she'll get a little more support than Bernie will, and Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. He'll get about 2% or so. The state of Rhode Island. Rhode Island's interesting. There aren't really too many super progressives, I'd say, in the state of Rhode Island. But there could be enough to vote for Elizabeth Warren, but I think Joe Biden would still narrowly win the state of Rhode Island. I think Elizabeth Warren would come in second here. I think Bernie Sanders, would come in third, and Pete Buttigieg would come in fourth. The state of Massachusetts, I think Elizabeth Warren would win, her home state, my home state as well. I think for Massachusetts, everything I've seen is I think a lot of people in the state would vote for Elizabeth Warren. That's not saying I would. I'm trying to keep my own preference out of this. I still think Elizabeth Warren would win here, though. I think Joe Biden would kind of split the moderate vote and lose Elizabeth Warren. I think I think Bernie Sanders would still get a pretty big percentage, though, especially from the more younger voters who are voting for the first time. And Buttigieg would finish in third. In the state of Vermont, I think Bernie Sanders would win here pretty big. Not too much to be argued about here. Joe Biden, I think, would probably finish in second. I think Elizabeth Warren would finish ahead of Joe Biden here. I really think she would. And yeah, I think Buttigieg and Biden would probably tie for third. The state of Maine. Maine's interesting. It has Joe Biden leading, but Elizabeth Warren's right behind him. I think Elizabeth Warren might actually win the state of Maine. I actually think she might. I think she has enough numbers going for her. She actually might win Maine. Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, I think Biden would come in second. Bernie Sanders, I think, would come in third. And then I think people would judge coming fourth. And now just one state left, the state of New York. The state of New York right now, it's interesting. There's a lot of big money in Wall Street put into New York. I think Joe Biden, where the money goes, Biden has the best chance of winning there. He'll win the state of New York. I think Bernie Sanders will probably finish in second in the state of New York. I think Elizabeth Warren will probably finish third. And I think Pete Buttigieg will probably finish fourth. New Hampshire's kind of like a microcosm for the whole country of how we think it's going to go. So now the map, and my prediction without factoring in superdelegates, is 1,601 for Joe Biden, 1,330 for Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren 448, and Pete Buttigieg 389. This is all before superdelegates. And right now with superdelegates, how I see it is I actually took the superdelegates and kind of went off of polling data and how it's looking in the national race. So I think Joe Biden will get most of the superdelegates, because don't forget the system is still in place for superdelegates to make a big decision and kind of determine who's going to win. But I think Biden will get most of the superdelegates. I expect Bernie Sanders will probably come in second. Elizabeth Warren, I think, will probably come in third in superdelegates, and Pete Buttigieg will come in fourth. And with that said, I think Joe Biden will get over 2,000 and get 2,040 delegates. Bernie Sanders will come close in second place again with 1,520. Elizabeth Warren will get 535 total delegates. Pete Buttigieg will get 437. I don't know if this will be enough delegates for Joe Biden to win the nomination or whether it'll be a contested convention. But I think right now in a four-way race for the Democratic primary, I think there's a very, very good chance that this will be a very, very contested and a very interesting primary season. And right now, it's anyone's guess, honestly, who's going to win the primary. Because one day it's looking like it could be Joe Biden, the next day it could be Bernie Sanders, and then all of a sudden Pete Buttigieg and Elizabeth Warren are surging again. So it's interesting to tell who's going to win. And right now, we don't really know. Now we're just trying to predict what's going to happen. And about a month or two out, this is what my prediction would be for right now. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I know this video has been going on for a while, so if you've actually stayed along this long to watch the whole video, I really appreciate it. I really hope you take the time to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.